Hello and welcome back to Below the Curve Gaming. Today we play our first mission from ITS Season 13, which is Firefight. This is the table setup. We have 4 blizzard zones marked out by these templates. We have 3 panoplies, one to the right side, one in the centre, and one to the left. The mission uses victory points to kill the opponents, as well as 3 classified objectives each. No retreat, killing the opponent's specialists, and designated landing area. We would like to thank everyone for reaching 108 subscribers, and we will put a 10% voucher for Helveticus Games code in the description below. We'll come back with the army breakdown shortly. Hello, it's Ben, and this is my O-12 list for Firefight. So there's a few extra models here, so I'll kind of go through what everything is and what's actually in the list. So first of all is Cho at the front, who's my lieutenant. Now she's using the hollow mask, so it will be the Kappa hacker at the back that's actually starting on the board in place of her. And then if need be, she'll unveil herself later in the game. I have a Crusher, which is the submachine gun nanopulsar, decharges pistol, and EM close combat weapon profile. It's a veteran troop, which is quite useful for one of the classified objectives. I then have a Cyclops hacker with hacking device, combi rifle, nanopulsar +1 burst, heavy pistol, and a close combat weapon, also a veteran trooper. I have the Gamma, who is a Fuhrerbach, and it's an elite troop which also works for one of the classified objectives. I have a Beta trooper, which has got the specialist operative, which counts in this scenario, with multi-rifle, nanopulsar +1 burst, decharges, pistol, and close combat weapon. I have a Kappa forward observer at the back, and it's just a combi rifle flash pulse, deployable repeater, pistol and close combat weapon. Then a Kappa paramedic, combi rifle medkit, pistol and close combat weapon. Team Sirius, which is the handler and the synchronized bot. The bot's a repeater and comes with a heavy riot stopper, and the handler, I've gone for the forward observer profile, so boarding shotgun, flash pulse, decharges, pistol and close combat weapon. I was quite conscious with the classified objectives of the potential of drawing something like sabotage, so I wanted to kind of maximize the amount of decharges I had, as well as getting forward observers, paramedics, and kind of a mixture of other specialists into the force. And then I've got a Gangbuster, which I had a few points left over, so I've upgraded to the combi rifle, light riot stopper, mad traps, pistol and close combat weapon. It's a mine layer version. Originally I was going to just take the boarding shotgun as the model's armed with, but I had a couple of points left over, as I say, so made that upgrade. And the final model is a Lynx, which will come in as hidden deployment. So it's a multi-sniper rifle, so I'll keep that one back. There's no infiltration on it, so it'll just be in my deployment zone and able to hopefully guard a fire lane and, with any luck, shoot down any unsuspecting JSA coming over potentially to try and loot some of the panoplies or the like. So that's all Group 1, so there's 10 orders in Group 1, as say the Kappa, Hacker and Cho. It'll be one or the other model that's down. There is 11 models because the Sirius bot is synchronized, so it only counts as one entry within the list. So although there's 11 models in the actual list and 12 models here, obviously it will be 11 on the battlefield. And then in Group 2, which is just one order in it, is this Razor, which is a mine layer, boarding shotgun, shock mines, pistol, and close combat weapon. It's hidden deployment and infiltration, so I'll be able to deploy it up the board somewhere in hidden deployment to hopefully, with its boarding shotgun or mines, be able to take out anything that comes near Panoply or potentially the HVT. My HVT's the Titan Forge or Cyberforge 3D printed model at the back. And these are our new camo tokens that I've printed. So yet again, Titan Forge or Cyberforge 3D printed models using clear blue resin. So it's a kind of transparent resin. And then once it's cured, you can coat it in nail varnish and it becomes see-through or just about see-through. So something we thought we'd try as a kind of more silhouette marker camo token. I don't actually have much camo in this list, unfortunately. That's mainly the Caledonians and Cosmoflot that have a bit stronger a camo game, although the Razor and the Lynx potentially can be camouflaged, so I made sure they were all painted up, these bases, in preparation. The army, I was a wee bit limited in my choices because I wanted to stick to only models I'd painted. And I did buy these before the Ariadne, but then they kind of almost got put to the side when the Ariadne turned up. So I had only painted up until yesterday morning. I'd only painted this Kappa at the back here. So it's been a frenzied few days of painting, but I'm happy with how they're looking. And thankfully it kind of made just about up to 300 points for the list. In terms of my classified objectives, you get 3 classified objectives, and I believe you can switch one for the secure HVT as well if you wish. So the first one I drew was HVT designation, which is forward observers or spotlight hackers. Now, I've only got the one hacker in the list, but a couple of forward observers. So I would have to spot or forward observe, spotlight, or forward observe twice to score it, but that would be worth 1. I have HVT inoculation, which is a doctor or paramedic. Now I do have the one paramedic is the only option I've got to score this, but the other version or the other card I drew, I didn't have much choice over completing either. So it's probably going to be a difficult one to do, so I might try and secure HVT instead. And then the final one is sabotage. So I'd obviously taken the decharges in case this came up, which is fortuitous. So I will hopefully, once we do deployment, pick a piece of terrain and make a mention of it when I'm doing the deployment video. So that's my army. We'll next go on to see what Martin's got.
Right folks, so here we are with the JSA. Now I have 14 models in this force split across the 2 combat groups. Now the first group is a combat group of 10 orders. Now that consists of my Damaru lieutenant. He's just got a chain rifle for this game and backed up by a pair of tankos. Now they've just got the Contender and Flammenspeer. I had hoped for the points for something slightly bigger, just a wee bit more kick, but unfortunately I just couldn't quite squeeze it in. We have 2 Shikami. The one on the left has a Contender and the one on the right has the combi rifle. So I'm going to use a command token to hold both of these back, and I will deploy them according to whatever Ben deploys. With all their fancy abilities, super jump, the climbing plus, the mimetism -6, special operative, fire team duo, and then the dodge plus 2 inches. I'm fairly confident that these guys will be able to nip across the table very, very quickly and then hopefully give Ben a bit of an unpleasant surprise. Now I have the special objective card where I have to get within 8 inches of Ben's HVT and then scan him down with a medium and heavy infantry. That will not be getting done by the tankos, that will be getting done by the Shikami. I have a full fire team here of the Kemptai with boarding shotgun and chain of command. We have the freshly painted Kaisotsu girl at the back with the missile launcher. That's a missile launcher, not a heavy rocket launcher. We have a hacker, and then we have a paramedic. That's the girl here at the front. And then we have just an average bod to take the hits. Over here we have Yojimbo. This is group 2 with its 2 crazy koalas. We have the Ryukin 9 with a freshly printed Cyberforge camo marker. And then I have a spare Kaisotsu Paramedic and my HVT. Now the Kaisotsu Paramedics, whilst they're not brilliant, the list was very tight points wise. I would have actually much rather ran a Doctor, because I have found in a lot of my games that my troops are getting cut to pieces and it's coming to the last turn and key parts of my force are lying unconscious. And so I feel I'm going to have to start running more skilled specialists than just a Kaisotsu Paramedic. For this mission, I obviously have the Hacker and Paramedic and the second Paramedic. So these have to be kept alive. The Shikami are special operatives as well. So I do have people who can achieve my objectives. Also, I have the Ryukin 9 Hacker. But with that being said, Ben gets victory points for killing these. So I am going to have to be quite careful as to what I do. Now, my thought is that the Shikami, depending on Ben's deployment, will deploy somewhere around about here or possibly over here and try and sort of speed up the table towards his HVT. Yojimbo is going to take a flank, most likely this flank here, to go around and start causing havoc. The Ryukin Hacker will hopefully head for the Panoplies and just try and open a couple of them. Now, she's in the second order pool, so she doesn't have that many orders. So that may actually fall to the Tanko Fire team, we will see. I don't have anybody with NCO because I don't have my dear yokai. Yojimbo is not going to take Impetuous. He's going to just take the Mimetism +3, thanks to, well, he comes with that anyway now, thanks to ITS Season 13, but I have found that without the cover bonus, Yojimbo gets cut to pieces, so I really want to keep him alive, so I'm going to ditch Impetuous during the deployment phase. The male Ryukin will, as usual, try and gain some form of vantage point, and I will never activate him. He is simply there as an ARO piece and a deterrent. The fire team may end up doing similar, but we will see. They may be forced to lag it, depending on the situation.
So here we are for the O-12 deployment. I'll start right to left and work my way through. So over at this side, we have an infiltrating prone gangbuster who is there, mad trapped, and kind of guarding this panoply. Hopefully we'll be able to get out and get it. This is the piece of terrain that I picked for the sabotage, so hopefully he will also be able to take that out with his decharges. I have hidden here a Paramedic Kappa and a Cyclops Hacker. I have a prone forward observing Kappa who hopefully will be able to move along here and draw line of sight to the HVT and then be able to get me the spotlight. I have my Gamma with Fuhrback, which was my held back model, guarding at least 2 of the Panoplies, that one in the centre, and then should be able to see the blue one there as well. Guard the fire lane to there, although there is blizzards in between that. I have hidden behind this building the Beta Trooper, which has got a multi-rifle. There's not much in its line of fire, although at the top of the building there are 2 Shikami, so may well be able to take some shots against them. Moving around, we have a Crusher forward deployment, and then I have Team Sirius with the Handler and the Bot, and then my HVT there. So hidden down here is my Kappa Hacker, which is Lieutenant Cho. I have this spot here is my Lynx, who is hidden deployed there. I've written it down on my sheet. and she will hopefully guard this fire lane here and potentially that fire lane between the two buildings there as well. So my other hidden deployed model is the Razor, which is hidden deployed here. So that is my O-12 deployment. We will come back with the JSA deployment in a moment.
So here we have the JSA deployment. The Shikami were held back because I was worried about how Ben was going to deploy the Gamma. I thought initially he was going to deploy over on the helipad, which would allow him to cover the HVT and Team Sirius. But when he didn't, I then deployed here. Now, he might have a good range band. We'll have to be careful. But the intention is that the Shikami are going to come round, cut down Team Sirius, scan down the HVT, and then move on to the Hacker beyond. We will have to be careful of the Crusher and the Beta Trooper that is skulking, though. We have the male Ryukin 9, and he's just here, as I said, for an ARO piece, and his mine. Deployed prone, we have the female Ryukin 9 with a killer hacking device. Now, Ben isn't using any blue coats, so I'll be able to activate the impersonation state and hopefully sneak up on him. She has a mine as well. We have the Tanko fire team, led by the Damaru. It's a special fire team Harry. We've got the Kaisotsu paramedic to hopefully keep them alive. The Kaisotsu fire team with the Kempetai joining with the boarding shotgun. He's deployed prone as he has number 2 and chain of command. We cannot afford him to die. The girl on the stairs is the paramedic. And then we have Yojimbo here, who has placed a crazy koala. Now Ben has a gangbuster over here deployed prone. So that's somebody with riot stoppers. We'll need to be careful of them because they force you to break out by taking dodge rolls at -6. Some of my stuff is physical 10. That would be game losing. We have a paramedic Kappa. We have Psyops. Ben has up here a prone forward observer. I'm expecting shenanigans based around a classified card. The Führerbach, and then, as we said earlier, the Beta Trooper, the Hacker, the Crusher, and Team Sirius. So we'll take a very quick look at my classified cards just before we start. So as I said already, we have the card that forces us to the follow-up card. So this forces us to try and get, my apologies for the overhead lighting, to get up close and personal to the enemy's HVT with heavy infantry. We have Net Undermine. So yet again, the Shikami can do this, or the, if I really had to, Kempetai. And Extremis Recovery. Extremis Recovery basically means you just have to get into base contact with an unconscious enemy, and then instead of coup de grace them, you do a whip roll +3. Now Shikami have a nice high whip. They don't have monofilament weapons, which means they won't decapitate someone by looking at them. So I'm hoping that I can maybe use that on Team Sirius, and then I can kind of 2 birds, 1 stone, and just pull off using the Shikami all of my classified objectives. I have no hidden deployments, but I have deployed my ninja beside the table. Hopefully this will fool Ben. I might try checking some dodgy line of sights or something just to make him sort of suspicious. But it's time to get into the game. So it's the end of the JSA turn 1, and to start with, Yojimbo came screeching around the corner and was intending to charge off and take down the gangbuster. Unfortunately, from nowhere, I was outfoxed by a lynx who revealed from hidden deployment and managed to shoot Yojimbo through smoke, but due to the surprise attack, missed, and that was the end of Yojimbo. It was a shock round. This kind of threw a spanner in my works, and so I consoled myself by not activating my fire team because I didn't want taken down by the Führerbach and the newly revealed Lynx. So instead, the Damaru led the Harry team forward, was followed by the paramedic from the other combat group. And then the Shikami ate, I believe, about 9 of the 10 orders from my pool to come down here. They swept down, despite the Shikami on the right-hand side being webbed by the Team Sirius's Riot Stopper. I was able to take the dog out in combat. I then scanned down the HVT, which gave me follow-up, and things were looking fairly rosy. Thanks to the mimetism, the shells were just plinking off, there was no danger. I then proceeded to fail 4 back-to-back whip rolls in Ben's half of the table for a net undermine, which completely ruined my day and also resulted in the second Shikami buying a round to the face from the Lynx, who eventually managed to hit. So it's not quite been the exciting turn I hoped, but I am 2-0 up, having achieved 2 of my classified objectives. So now we will move over to the O-12 turn 1 and see what surprises they have for us.
So we're at the end of the O-12 turn 1, and it's been a bit of a mixed bag. So firstly, I activated the Gamma, who was standing in this space here. This prompted AROs from the Link team, which was on the building at the back there, and also on the building over here, the camo marker, which revealed itself to be a Ryukin 9. Unfortunately, in the face-to-faces, the Gamma took 6 hits from explosive weapons and did not survive. The Lynx then spent 3 actions to recoup some of the honour for the O-12 and managed to face-to-face shoot the Link team over here, knocking the missile launcher unconscious, killing the combi rifle hacker behind it, and the other Kaisotsu dodged down the stairs, which resulted in the Kempetai becoming the Link leader. She also managed to take out the Ryukin 9, who was here as well. Other than that, I moved the forward observer across the bridge here, first prone, and then once I'd taken out the Link team that were in the way, I was able to then stand up, move the further distance, and spotlighted the HVT twice, which resulted in me getting the HVT designation card. Oh, it's a bit of a glare on the card, but HVT designation. I then spent an order moving this paramedic up here, which didn't really do anything, but it did bring it closer to the gangbuster here, in case the koala who had been dropped by Yojimbo took him out, although the koala has shock, so it wouldn't have mattered having the paramedic nearby. But the gangbuster moved up into contact, dodged the koala, and was able to plant a decharge on the hollow board, which then resulted in me scoring for sabotage. So at the end of the O-12 turn 1, it is 2 victory points to the O-12 and 2 victory points to the JSA for completing 2 classified objectives. The rest of the mission objectives are scored at the end of the game, which is to kill more specialist troops in the adversary, which gives you 2 objective points. To kill more lieutenants gives you a further 2. To kill more army points gives you a further 2. And to loot more weapons or items from the panoplies and the opponent gives you a further 1, up to a maximum of 10. So we'll come back at the end of the JSA turn 2.
So the JSA second turn has been the definition of a mixed bag. The Shikami opened the Penelope, pulled out a monofilament weapon, which, along with the sniper rifle and the mimetism -3, was my worst case scenario. I super jumped up here, cut down the Team Sirius hacker, whilst shrugging off the Lynx and the Beta Trooper. I was feeling pretty confident, and then prepared to launch myself across to try and take down the links, and promptly took a double action round to the face and one from the sniper rifle. Ben hit on everything. I failed my dodge, and that was the end, unfortunately, of the Shikami. The Domaru fire team moved from here up. They, after a bit of a false start, managed to drop the Crusher, and they then moved out here. I passed 4 saves on the fire team leader, which was really good. Made a mad dash for here. Ben has deployed a deployable. It's a very tall landmine, I think. And then, of course, I promptly took a lucky double action round and am lying unconscious in a stairwell. The paramedic failed to repeat her heroics of the last game, killing the missile launcher. So the other paramedic is making a mad dash up here. There's various heavy infantry in dire need of fixing. He is skulking just out of line of sight of the remainder of Ben's force, and not feeling too confident about his chances, I would be the first to admit. So it now goes back to the O-12 turn, and we'll see what Ben can do in his turn too, as he has models covering this Penelope, and he also has managed to, in killing my hacker and the Shikami special operative, it's put him in a fairly good position right now.
So here we are at the end of the O-12 turn 2. Not much happened, it has to be said. I started by moving the Gangbuster into contact with the Panoply and managed to loot a multi-sniper rifle. I then used an order token to do a combined order, spearheading as the Gangbuster, using the paramedic, the forward observer, and the Cyclops, who did a move. The forward observer didn't really move much, it has to be said, but the Gangbuster moved into contact with this building, and the paramedic moved up. Now, through the combined order, she only managed to make into contact with the Panoply. The Cyclops moved up, and I think she got to this hollow board with the combined order, and then used a further order to move into contact with this building here. The paramedic looted a monofilament close combat weapon from the Panoply, and then moved along that hollow board there as well. Over here, the beta trooper attempted a shootout with the Tanko, who is guarding the fire lane down here. Unfortunately, despite hitting with the multi-rifle, the Tanko saved both hits, and no wounds were caused. Then the final order from Order Pool 2, the Razor used its full order to remove hidden deployment and appear on the board. So no victory points have been scored, no casualties, only one set of face-to-face. It's been a rather quick turn, it has to be said. So we will come back at the end of the JSA turn 3.
So this was a brutal final turn for the JSA. The Domaru down here activated and managed to chain rifle down the links. I had used my command tokens to put all my orders into one pool. The plucky paramedic ran the gauntlet of the beta trooper, dodged, or the trooper missed, got into base contact with the Shikami and resurrected him. I was high on life in this point and sent the Shikami over to open the Penelope so that I'd be equal Ben, and promptly rolled a 20 because clearly boxes is hard. So at that point, my final command token was spent to reform the fire team as a Domaru special fire team duo. The Tanko was dragged kicking and screaming out of cover. They failed a dodge roll, but managed to shrug off the double action hit from the irate beta trooper. Came charging round for an easy assassination run on the Kappa hacker to discover that it was Cho with her hollow mask, and sadly Cho was stabbed through by an extremely irate Damaru. And so, whilst Cho is not a specialist, she very carelessly had been promoted to lieutenant, which currently is going to give me bonus points. So we're feeling pretty good about this. I mean, there's a Ryukin 9 who hasn't moved all game. There's a fire team who have done little to nothing once the rocket launcher died. But we'll just have to see what Ben has for the final turn with the O-12.
So here we are at the end of the O-12 turn 3. I was in loss of lieutenant at the start of the turn due to Cho dying to the Domaru in combat, so I spent 3 command tokens to turn some orders regular. So I chose the Beta Trooper, the Forward Observer in the building, and the Gangbuster down here to make regular. The Razor, because he was in Command Group 2, there was no point of switching him over. So that allowed me to keep the Psy-Cop Hacker, Irregular, and the Paramedic, and then obviously the Razor. I spent 3 orders on the Paramedic, which was all the orders I had. So she used her Irregular order to move up. I spent a regular to kind of skirt past us, the mine that was here, or the camel marker, but we were assuming it was a mine. Thankfully, I saved the armor roll because I failed my dodge, managed to get into base contact with the HVT, and succeeded in my HVT inoculation. I then spent my final order to move into contact with that piece of terrain and shot the Kaisotsu paramedic in the back, knocking him unconscious. So that was the end of the game. The victory points are as follows. The killing more lieutenants than the opponent was succeeded by the JSA, so Martin scored 2 for that. The killing more specialists was succeeded by myself, so I got 2 victory points for that. And the killing more army points was succeeded by the JSA, so Martin got 2 for that. I opened more Panoplies, so got 1 point for that. And then we scored, Martin got 2 classified objectives, the net, undermine, and the follow-up, but failed his in extremis recovery. He was unfortunately also unable to score the secure HVT. He did have the Shikami in zone of control of my HVT. However, due to my paramedic surviving here, I was able to stop him from securing HVT. On my side, I had HVT inoculation, HVT designation, and sabotage, which scored me 3. So the game ends 6 victory points apiece and a draw. Thanks very much for watching. Please check out the other videos on the channel. Feel free to like and subscribe, and check out our blog for other Infinity content. Thanks very much.